My name is Manuel, and I will be covering the topic of vaccinations, specifically anti-vaxxers, who, if you don't know, are people that are against the distribution and receiving of vaccines. My main claim is that anti-vaxxers are causing negative effects on the public, and I will be supporting my main claim with three secondary claims. The first being that anti-vaxxers are causing diseases that were once close to elimination and research. The second being that anti-vaxxers are causing learning environments to suffer. And the third one being that anti-vaxxers are affecting the survival of future generations. So back to the first supporting claim, that anti-vaxxers are causing diseases that were once close to elimination and research. Due to not being vaccinated, many people who are anti-vaxxers suffer from many diseases and viruses such as measles. These viruses that we believe to have been eliminated back in approximately 2000. Yet these viruses are growing immune rapidly to the vaccinations due to how fast these viruses could spread. Anti-vaxxers have no immunity from these diseases, and it kind of creates like a parasitic relationship, allowing these diseases to feed and grow strong from the host, which are the anti-vaxxers, allowing for more and more people to become infected. For example, according to CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control, they examined a case in January 2015 of people that had been to either Disney Park in Anaheim, both two. In that month, 110 people were diagnosed with measles, and of those 110, 49 were unvaccinated, and 12 of those unvaccinated patients were infants too young to be vaccinated, and then the other 37 were, another 28, were intentionally unvaccinated because they were under the age of 18, and then the other ones were just not vaccinated due to beliefs. These numbers represent how fast these diseases we thought were eliminated could spread, and to add to that, according to the World Health Organization, measles has had a resurgence of 30% in the last few years due to the again popularized anti-vaxxers. My second supporting claim is that anti-vaxxers are causing learning environments to suffer. In relation to the last claim, too many children are victims of the anti-vaccination movement. From the case before, 12 of those infected with measles being infants and another 28 due to being minors, it's evident that the spread of diseases and infections is enriching the lives of the children. Yet we send children to the breeding grounds of infections. Learning centers such as schools are suffering from the anti-vaccination movement. According to Jane Fullerton-Lemons, who is the author of multiple articles in relations to food policy and healthcare, claims that 1 in 10 parents are delaying or foregoing some or all recommended vaccines for their children. These parents are not only endangering their children due to the many infections and diseases that are in schools because of lack of hygiene. And these parents are not only endangering their children, yet the lives of others. And these outbreaks occur many times a year. For example, lice, skin infection, and flus happen all the time. And then to my last supporting claim, in relation to the last two claims, anti-vaxxers are putting our future into danger. Due to infections and viruses becoming stronger, it will and would be a matter of time for an epidemic to strike. History has showed us in the past, such as for the Black Plague, that these epidemics could happen, and yet, thanks to vaccines, it has helped minimize these epidemics. The growth and expansion of these possible epidemics in society, as big as today, is very possible and is directly proportional to the growth and rate of anti-vaxxers. And with kids being the most at risk due to no choice and being forced to believe vaccines do not work, our potential for a healthy future is decreasing. In conclusion, anti-vaxxers are negatively affecting the public and the effects on learning environments and the future. As well, the resurgence of diseases that were controllable is a growing problem and will affect all life on Earth. Thank you.
Well, the setup is perfectly fine. You've got propositions clearly stated. There's a good preview of what the supporting structure is. You label the supporting points as you get to each of those points. So structurally, things are pretty straightforward and easy to follow. The proof on the first point is primarily dependent on a single example that you have here of the measles cases. Everything else is asserted. So it's the measles cases at Disneyland that you're talking about. And some of those cases have nothing to do with anti-vaxxers. There's not really an identification of exactly how many were refusing to get vaccinated. We just know how many weren't vaccinated, and that seems like it's a little bit of a problem for your argument. The notion that a lack of vaccination is a part of the problem of spreading the illness, I think that probably is a valid point there, but the notion that that's because of anti-vaxxers, I think that's the step that's missing, that some reason to believe that the reason people aren't getting vaccinated is because they have been influenced by anti-vaxxers or they are in fact themselves anti-vaxxers. Some people are just negligent and lazy and it may not have anything to do with a belief in whether or not these vaccines work. You need to have a stronger argument to demonstrate that. The statistical link that you had concerning people who got particular diseases is okay for the measles thing, for instance. Later on, you say 1 in 10 people is, foregoing or delaying the vaccines. Delaying a vaccine, there could be all kinds of reasons why that might be the case, and if especially since you mentioned in the first argument that the infants are not really. It's not appropriate to be vaccinating them at that young age. So when you say they're either foregoing or delaying, I'm going, well, what percentage is it that's delaying? If 10% of our population is under the age of 10 and we're delaying it because there's some medical issue, then that doesn't seem unreasonable. I think, again, you've got a good starting point here, but you need a lot more follow-up on this. There's a whole bunch of assumptions in the third point that suggest that anti-vaxxers are the ones that are connected with the outbreak of epidemics, but I didn't see any information that showed that. The example that you use, of course, is 1,000 years old. There are more recent epidemics and outbreaks. I think you need a little bit more in terms of, like the schools, for instance. It wouldn't be hard in California to find threats to kids' health because of a lack of vaccination for a variety of illnesses, and the kids not getting the vaccination because, well, California made an effort a couple of years ago to get rid of exemptions that they used to make for people who had some objection to vaccinations. So I would think that we would see a difference in the rate of those outbreaks of some of those diseases. Maybe some updated information off of the California experience would be helpful here. Let's see. You've got room for a little bit more information, and that's kind of what you need on each of the points. So it's well structured. I understood your argument, but there are a lot of presuppositions built into some of the claims, and the evidence only seems to go part way in making your point. All right, thank you.